from everything that you've seen around AI, what are some of the real things that you're like, I actually feel optimistic about this?
I was giving a talk about this last night, and it's something I've been thinking about since last week. I was demoing a bunch of MCP server products. Now everyone's attaching MPC to their product, obviously, and I feel like we're still trying to shoehorn in AI into the ways we've been doing things, and I think instead of reimagining how we could do things. And so an example of this was, a big BI vendor had shown me their MCP integration, and I was like, well, you can make charts off a query. I was like, that's interesting, but what if I actually interact with, my data in a more strategic way, and use the AI as a sounding board based upon the data, based upon the the interactions. And I think that kind of leads more towards the future that I'm stoked about, which is we're moving more towards what I've been describing as an action-oriented architecture, where AI helps us think strategically about decisions, helps us make decisions, and then finally we'll take the actions to make those decisions a reality, right? And so I think that's it. That's what I'm actually really excited about. I think my thinking is evolving more towards what is the next generation of architectures and use cases and tooling that we have yet to really build yet. So
so almost kind of like an intelligent bouncing board of sorts, if you will.
Bouncing board, and also
or coworker.
So I think that's. So I think because I was thinking about this, the nature of BI, and it's kind of like it still has a place, but think of how many dashboards aren't used right now and reports, right? And so it still answer like 80-90% of the questions. Like that's what I call old school BI. I wrote about that a while ago, but now I was thinking about what does new school look like, and I was like, I think it's actually a different thing than just looking at reports, and asking edge questions. I think it's actually more of an interactive, strategic sounding board.
Sigma does uses a lot of that old school and BI and new school BI as part of like their marketing thing to be like, hey, there's the old way of doing it that's still valid for many use cases. This is the new possibilities,
right?
But each one has their own space.
I think people finally moving it. I mean, it's what we wrote about actually in the final chapter of Fundamentals of Data Engineering, which is almost 3 years old now, but it's really what we call the live data stack, where things happen in real time. The feedback loop between applications, analytics, machine learning, and AI. It's very quick, very rapid, and this means also automated actions, right? So it's good to see like what you write as a speculative piece ends up becoming like sort of the reality. And we're just emerging into that right now. We're not there yet. Like I said, most vendors, it seems, are still trying to shoehorn in AI into the old way of doing things. I don't think instead of reimagining what we could be doing. So.